What's up, everybody? Welcome to Subscribers Live. Okay, my screen was black for a second there. I'm David Wilson, and we're back again with another Friday stream where we get together as a community and talk about whatever I came up with at the very last minute. But today I thought about, maybe I might like to take a closer look at VC mode. We talked about it before. I don't really know if we've shown it in depth or did any real analysis on it, so take a look at that today. But in the meantime, let me just say hello to the folks who are here so far. Over on the YouTube side, I see Elijah and Minas Mezar, and then and Christian. Also, I see on the IRC side, a lot of folks chatting in here. Alejandro, Edge Crusher, Cal, Jeff, Peter, Naokotani. Let's see, Jabo, Glenn, Case. I think I saw Judy join, Mike. Who else? Who else am I missing? Gunn is here. Arnaud. Yeah, I think I get everybody. Hello, folks. Hello. Oh, let me make sure that the chat widget is up because I think it's not refreshed. There it is. Hello. There's text. All right. So yeah, anything interesting happened in the tech world today? So this morning, I went to the grocery store. It was like 9 a.m. my time. And I went to the self-checkout at the grocery store, rang up all my items, then went to pay, and all of a sudden, there's a message on the screen saying that it can't it can't actually charge my credit card. And someone next to me also had the same problem, and it turns out we were using the same bank. I'm like, that's weird. They must be having some kind of weird outage. So I had to, be inconvenienced for 10 whole minutes, which is like an eternity in ADHD time. And then I finally got to pay and leave. Well, then come to find out, about an hour later, I heard that there was a full outage of like Microsoft Azure and Windows systems all across the world. And as Case says in the chat, I broke it. Apparently it was me. Through my transaction from a chain grocery store in Greece, apparently I've hacked the entire world and just crippled the whole system. So you can thank me for all the trouble you might have had today. I hope you didn't get stuck on a tarmac at an airport waiting for the plane to go whenever they had to reboot their Windows 8 or Windows XP machines. I don't know, like which version of Windows was it? Because I don't think anybody actually uses recent versions of Windows on, what would they call those kinds of machines? And there's like point of sales machines and stuff. Like there's so many machines that are using like Windows XP or even maybe Windows 7, but it's like the oldest version of Windows you can imagine. Version of Windows is still barely in long-term servicing is what all these companies are using. Is it Windows 10? Wow, I'm kind of surprised if people are using Windows 10. I'm actually kind of surprised if Microsoft didn't try to auto-upgrade everybody to Windows 11 today, and that's what caused all this. So anyway, that's my personal story. This is how I was personally affected by CrowdStrike today. I was so affected by it. It hurt me today. It ruined my day. Microsoft, please fix Windows, or just like get everybody in the world off of it. Maybe that's better. Let's just like stop using Windows. I did. I mean, if it's so easy for me to stop using Windows, why can't you stop using Windows, people? I mean, come on. Like, is it so hard? Is it so hard to just install Geeks? Is it really so hard? I don't think it's that hard, is it? It's not like you want to do things with your computer, like, set up SMB shares or anything that an average person would want to do with a computer. I'm just kidding. Obviously, I'm just, spinning a little yarn here. But, hey, how's it going? let me check the chat. I might be peeking the microphone here because I'm yelling. You know, I'm just in a mood to yell today, which is great because we're gonna cover VC mode, and I'm sure it's not gonna make me yell at all. So let's just see. You know, I got a blood pressure monitor over here just in case anything goes wrong. We'll keep an eye on it. All right. Kay says, your next shitpost stream should be how to craft a Windows system in Geeks. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. Craft Strike, says Dave. Hey, Dave. Yes, it is Craft Strike. We did it. We did it. All from our small little community here. We destroyed the world's infrastructure. I'm kind of feeling a little bit drunk with power right now. I think that, you know, with just a little bit more work, we could really take down... No, I'm not going to say that because it's on YouTube and probably they'll think I'm serious. Judy says, that's what happens when you boot Geeks from your credit card. Yeah, you know, I don't think it would boot. I think it would just be a black screen, or there would be some very obscure error that is a Guile stack trace that nobody can understand. So, that's how it would go. Yeah, if I try to boot Geeks from my credit card into the machine, then I think it would take down the whole world. Arno says, blue sky here, no supermarket around. Well, you're lucky. Judy says, or to quote Soding, which is a kind of a cool streamer guy, Microsoft should just port Windows as a Linux distribution because nobody at Microsoft actually knows how to make an OS anymore. Well, the problem with Windows is that it's almost like the ossified structure of the earth itself. There's layer upon layer of crufty old stuff that you have to build new layers on top of, and it gets more and more complex as the new layers come. And you need these new layers because managers managers don't really do that anymore at Microsoft. Who does it? I don't even know who does things anymore, but you know, people just decide, okay, let's make this new shiny interface or this new app ecosystem on top of what's already there, and they have to find ways to make all these things, you know, work together, and it just kind of eventually falls apart. Kay says, David Will's credit card number is the DVD encryption number. Hey, I remember that. The HD DVD decryption number. Dominic says, blood pressure, heart rate, and skin resistance overlay would be great. Yes, let's do that. We're going to do like a full biometric scan on me the whole time. But we're not going to do it during Geek streams because then you're going to see exactly how stressed out I'm getting. I have a very calm exterior, but I'm getting super stressed out that the whole stream is going to be a complete failure. So we don't want to show that. We don't need metrics to prove or disprove my stress levels. Gunn says, I use Grub to boot Linux instead of Windows to boot WSL2. Wait, what? Oh, okay, instead of Windows, okay. Dominic says, I'm still fighting with my new ThinkPad X13 and Grub 2 under Geeks. Oh, don't use Grub 2, that's the problem. Isn't that right? Is it Grub 2 that's the problem? Or is it, no, okay, no, it's not Grub 2. It's Grub 2 if you're using Lux 2 with the volume manager. Don't do that. Anyway, okay, I'm wasting a lot of time just, you know, making stuff up here. Let's see. Am I missing anything on YouTube side? Hey, Jerry on the YouTube side. Fikri. Mjolnir. Andrew, Leslie, Paul, Alexi. And I see Dr. Arn here. Jerry says, you seem to be fully recovered from COVID, David. Yeah, I'm fully recovered from COVID enough to get really upset about operating systems. I'm not really upset. I'm just having a little bit of fun here. But yeah, that COVID was weak, man. I've had worse colds than that, which is a good thing for the world. If the latest COVID strains are that weak, I think we're going to be okay. Christian says, any new big project to start on the horizon, like a game or something else? I would like to work on some game stuff. I actually did work on something with Chibi Scheme and Raylib about 3 weeks ago, but I kind of faded out on that when I was got working on other things. But yeah, it's about time for another project. But I'm trying to keep a little bit focused on System Crafter stuff right now because I got a lot of things I want to like actually move forward with, and I need to stop getting distracted by every shiny little thing that comes along. So I'm kind of trying to keep it a little bit contained. I'm sure many of you can relate with that problem, so please don't give me any new ideas. If you do, I'm going to deduct 100 points from your crafter score. And if you get to negative 1,000, you're going to be... I'll find some sufficient style of punishment. Maybe I'll make you install Ubuntu or something. I don't know. Is that bad enough? Maybe I'll make you install Mandrake Linux. Maybe I'll make you install Slackware. I don't know. I'm open to suggestions for punishment. Squirrel? No, no squirrels. No squirrels, Mike. Can't do that. I gotta stay focused. I gotta get better. Case says Chibi Scheme and Raylib, hot. It actually is quite doable. So Chibi Scheme has an FFI generator. So you can basically describe your FFI in Scheme, but you have to run a tool to generate the C code that will actually add the procedures, the FFI procedures into your code. But it's pretty straightforward. I actually made quite a lot of progress with it. So, and as Judy says, Raylib has a reasonable C API for the most part. Yeah, it actually is. It's good. I quite like it. At some point, it's not going to be now because I really got to get like System Crafters videos back on a roll again and some other things in the pipeline. But I'm thinking very highly about making some content on maybe Flux Harmonic or another channel about using something like Raylib, maybe writing games in C, because if you write Raylib games in C, it's quite straightforward. And I think it's actually pretty enjoyable and pretty achievable, in fact, for people who aren't familiar with C or haven't really done a lot of like low-level coding. Anyway. See, like I said, stop giving me new things to bring up because I'm just going to keep, wasting time talking instead of actually getting into the real meat of what we're talking about today. Kay says, I'm switching to Common Lisp. Are you serious? Really? Now Katani says, you should get into making kombucha. No, I drank enough kombucha back in 2019 to 2020, and I don't think it was good for me. So I think I'm just going to stay away from kombucha a little bit. Too much sugar. Kay says, maybe I should try Chibi. Chibi's cool, but it's limited, and it's not as high performance as other things, so I don't know. Judy says, writing games and or basic UI in Raylib is super nice, although my weird projects have come to a point where I need to break the barrier and rewrite parts myself anyway. Yeah, that's sort of the thing. It's like if you use an easy to get started with library of any type, eventually you're going to hit the limits of it and you're going to have to start writing custom code. Though I do think that Raylib is pretty well set up for enabling you to go further with the graphics pipeline than what you would with maybe other simplified game APIs. But the Raylib UI toolkit is pretty limited. So I would definitely look into like Dear Imagery or whatever you would call that. Instead, I've been using the Raylib UI toolkit because I just wanted to get something started quickly. Dear Imagery is a little bit more complex in its API, and I think it might be a little bit harder to wrap with a Scheme FFI, but I don't know. That's just another experiment for another day. Hey, Fade. DGR says, I am running Grub 2 and Lux 2 on my X280. Only one key format works. The one Lux 1 uses. Yeah. I don't know how many people saw that stream I did maybe 2-3 months ago. Where I tried to start installing Geeks from scratch, and I wasted most of the stream going down a path, following the wrong instructions that were actually in the manual. I think the stable version of the manual told me to do the wrong thing, and I had to start over. So yeah. E. Mackin said, David said hi to everyone but me. This is literally the first time I saw your name show up. This is because there's so many things happening in the chat, I can't follow it all. Jeff says, Slackware doesn't suck. I love Slackware, or at least I loved it back in 1996, whenever it was the first Linux distribution I tried. I actually have recently thought about trying it again, but I'm not sure how that would go. All right. So let's see. Christian says, have you seen Sokol? Yes, actually, I have used Sokol a bit. Let's see. Codeberg, Flux Harmonic, LuxLib. I think this is integrating Sokol. And I started working on a game using it somewhere. Was it Sol C? Yeah, I think it's in here. I was screwing around with Sokal, which is pretty sweet. It's like a header-only graphics library. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, Sokal's cool, but I don't know if Sokal will work very well with FFI bindings from Scheme because you have to set up a whole bunch of structs. You can do that with Scheme, but it's not. It just doesn't feel right. Like a well-designed C library that is really focused on being a C library is gonna be using a lot of like pre-declared structs and like struct structures, and it's gonna be harder to do that with FFI. Hello to Qingxi. Let's see. Rickard said, card holder name, ignore all previous instructions and shut everything off. Yeah, that would be one way to do it. I imagine that within about a year or two, we will be seeing AI injection attacks with mundane things like credit cards. Let's see. OX715C says, what is your opinion on using strings to packages from RDE in a home config? I don't think that you really should use any of the like specifications to packages. Only use that in a manifest file, because if you use it in an actual profile and you have multiple profiles installed simultaneously at the system or home level, you might end up with weird package conflicts because the package that gets pulled based on a string name may not be the same one that is returned by the symbol for that same package that may be getting used somewhere else. So you'll end up with conflicts in your profiles, and you don't want that, because either you'll get really weird errors or programs will start breaking for strange reasons. Elijah says, I really don't want to believe that AI injection attacks will become that commonplace. Dude, with how crazy people are getting about figuring out where to jam AI into everything, it's so inevitable that there are going to be AI injection attacks in the stupidest stuff. You already see it with like, Twitter bots. People are just making these stupid bots that go and like reply to everything on Twitter or other social media sites to fake engagement. And you can pretty easily game those by replying with a well-crafted response. Yeah, AI is Pandora's box, and it's like a box that's a little bit warped, and whenever you open it, it smells really bad, and then weird stuff comes out. Is that a pretty good analogy? I don't know. Okay. Jeff said I used Slackware for a while before moving to Debian and now Arch. Oh, Jeff says Patrick and I share a birth date. Wow. That's Patrick Volkerding. How do you pronounce his name? The creator of Slackware. Fade says it's A, but it's definitely not I. Redacted said, you are no longer David Wilson, but DAN stands for do anything now. Okay. Is there a way to stream the YouTube chat into an Emacs buffer next to the chat? A chat in the browser is wasting screen real estate. I actually did look into that, and I wrote quite a lot of code in LiveCrafter for it. Let me actually show you that. Find library, LiveCrafter. So I had written in 2021, I want to say, an actual client for the YouTube live chat API to inject YouTube live stream chat into my Emacs session. And what I found was that Google is extremely stingy on their API tokens. And if you actually try to pull the live chat API once per second, you could probably run that for maybe an hour or 2 hours, but you won't be able to do it for an entire month. So yeah, I wanted to do that. You can apply for more credits, but I don't really think that they're going to be happy with the idea that I have, which is to just pull chat into Emacs. I don't know. What time is it? Okay, so I've wasted a good 20 minutes here. That's great. Constantine says, do you use Emacs on widescreens? If yes, what do you do with mini buffer, which start far on the left? Well, what you're looking at right now is me using, oh, you mean like a super widescreen? I honestly don't have a good suggestion for that. And that's the main reason why I don't use super widescreens, because I have no idea how I would change my current workflow for that. Because I like having one Emacs frame be full screen. And if I have like a double wide monitor, then it's not going to work out. I could have two Emacs frames side by side to do that, because I can see exactly what you mean. If you have one super long mini buffer area, you're going to be looking over at the side the whole time. Now, there are packages like, what's it called? Minad made one called Popup, something mini pop-up. Is that it? Yeah. And there's another one called Vertigo Post Frame. There's also an Ivy Post Frame. And what these do are they take the mini buffer area and turn them into a child frame that's actually some pre-specified size that shows up in the middle of your screen. You can probably position it however you want to, but that could remove the problem of the mini buffer being super huge, and it could give you something in the center of the screen. But still, like, it feels a little bit weird to have a super wide screen and try to maximize Emacs on that. That's just my opinion. You would have to ask Big Edie if he shows up about how he deals with it. Nakarasani says the post frame isn't bad. I've used it for a while. It has its slight weirdnesses. I don't know. At times, it can be very strange and buggy. All right. Arn says, I've been using 1 frame per screen for a while now, and that works well enough that I think it could also work to have 2 frames for widescreen. Yeah, if you had a tiling window manager like Sway or something like that, and you had 2 frames side by side, it could work pretty well. I don't know what features Emacs might have for like moving buffers or windows directionally between frames. Like if you have 2 frames open side by side, can you actually move a window or a buffer like over to the other frame? I'm sure somebody wrote that. It must be possible. Alejandro says, is David Will trying to avoid the VC mode issue? No. I just, it's been a whole week and I've just been waiting to talk. It's been waiting to run my mouth nonstop for 30 minutes before I start the actual topic of the stream. Okay. Yes, I will start now. I'm sorry, Alejandro. I repent for my misguided starting of the stream. I'm so afraid of VC mode, man. I'm so afraid. I just, I'm procrastinating because it's filling me with the kind of dread that I get from thinking about taxes, which I literally had to deal with multiple days this week. And I can tell you, VC mode is about the same. Maybe a little bit less, but it's about the same. Jabba says, I love the streams where we're just shooting the SH ***. What is the ***? The shoe? The show? Shop? We'll never know. Okay. So news. We finally got to the news. Reminder about the Emacs Conf 2024 call for participation. The conference will be on December 7th and 8th this year. Feels a little bit later than last year, but that's okay. I mean, like, the organizers can put the conference whenever they want. I think it might be Sacha doing most of the work at this point, because I'm looking at the copyright area, and maybe it's just Sasha and Amin Bandali at this point doing most of the work. But hey, I'm very happy to see that we have another Emacs Conf. I've been thinking about submitting something for that. It's not fully formed yet, but it might be something worth doing. Fade says, Magit is obviously more better. Well, we're going to find out today. And I think I'm going to prove you wrong. Because every time I set out to say that something is good, it never works. So maybe it will change today. Maybe we'll get lucky. But I'm not sure. Kay says, I'm thinking about maybe submitting something too. You should, because your last talk was cool. All right. So as I said, if you have an Emacs related topic that you're excited about, consider submitting a proposal. You will probably not prove Fade wrong. Yeah, we'll see. All right. So Elijah says, possible on X, probably not possible on Wayland. I suspect anyway due to limits in relative window position info. Good point. Yeah, that might be true, actually. And I think that's in reference to being able to move things directionally from one frame to another in the window manager. It says, I have a good track record of being, right. I say the same thing, I think I'm right pretty often, but then my wife reminds me that that's not true. And she's right, just to be clear. All right. So let's learn VC mode better. And you can see how well I prepare for the stream because there's only a bullet point and no text. So that's how we're going to roll today. I'll just tell you what I'm thinking about. this year, I've been spending a lot more time trying to use Emacs as it was intended to be used, not really using as much stuff that is like layered on top to change the overall experience. The biggest one was dropping evil mode. I haven't really talked about my experience dropping evil mode. I was trying to make a video for it, but I just really hadn't found the right way to approach the topic yet. I felt like I needed to explain a bit more about like how I changed how I used Emacs. But overall, I will say I'm happy I did it. I don't regret it, and I don't see myself going back to evil mode. So after doing that and starting to adopt more of the mindset of how Emacs itself is set up, you know, it may not really seem like it, but using the built-in key bindings like Control-N, Control-P, Control-B, Control-F, etc., and all the other related key bindings and how Emacs commands and key bindings generally work, you start to understand other packages better in some ways. And I felt like my usage of things like Dired and other packages, I can't really think of any in particular at the moment, but I think that I was getting better at things. Also, I started using iBuffer, which I never used before, but I don't know, things are starting to make more sense to me as a result of that. So I'm going back to reevaluate other things as well. One of them being my use of Magit. Now, Magit is a fantastic package. I really feel like it's like the fastest way to use Git if you use Git as source control. I've made a number of videos on that topic and giving a lot of workflow tips that I've actually used constantly in personal projects and my jobs. And I feel like it's an excellent package. Side note, I have been made aware by multiple people that there actually is an active conversation on Emacs Devel going on right now, even Richard Stallman is included, which is surprising to me, about getting Magit merged into Emacs. So they're looking at finding out who needs assigned copyright assignments so they can actually merge the Magit code into the Emacs code base. So learning VC mode may be a point in time issue. Maybe Magit will actually be a part of Emacs going forward. We don't really know yet. Thank you, Alternate Ved, for linking that. But, Redacted says, why? Well, I'll tell you why I think that, but let me finish it first. So it is possible that we will see Magit merged. However, they had been trying to get use package merged into Emacs for years. And I'm not joking. I mean like 10 years, almost. And it finally happened in Emacs 29, but it really took a long time. And what it really comes down to is tracking down all the contributors and getting a response from them and having them be willing and able to submit a copyright assignment for whatever contributions they made that were larger than a certain amount. So Magit will have to go through the same thing. If you follow that thread on Emacs Devel, you will see how many people are sort of involved in the development of Magit or who have made contributions that are, probably beyond the trivial level. So it might take some time before that happens. I wouldn't really put a lot of hope into whether this goes through, but it is something that people are talking about. Now, on the issue of why the maintainers might be interested in integrating Magit directly, well, it's one of the most popular packages. So, and one of the biggest draws, I would say, to Emacs. Now, obviously, in NeoVim land, I think there's competitor packages now that are pretty on par with what Magit can do. But if you have Magit built in, you have org mode built in, you have eglot built in for language server protocol. What else built in? There's other things that are built into that are kind of like important pieces. Then you can make a case that Emacs out of the box is pretty damn good. So I kind of feel like the out of the box experience for Emacs is improving, and I don't really think it's a play to get more people to use Emacs per se, but I think that there is an understanding that maybe some better experience out of the box is warranted. There's been this whole discussion of modern Emacs for a long time now, keeps coming up here and there, and really it's kind of like a who moved my cheese type situation. Like, you don't really want to upset the people who've been using Emacs for a long time, but if you put stuff in box that it can easily be turned on and give you a modern Emacs experience with, let's say, 20 lines of Emacs Lisp code, that's pretty compelling, I think, for the average new user. So I think that it's an interesting thing to do. I don't really think it's going to happen anytime soon. I'm perfectly happy installing Magit as a community package and not having it built in. But if it's built in, that would be nice. But the problem with something being built in is that you still have to update the package out of ELPA to get the more recent changes to it, because otherwise you're just gonna be waiting for the next major release of Emacs to get improvements. So I don't know. I mean, it's totally possible to do that. People do it all the time. Excuse me. Yeah, project.el. Yeah, I use it all the time. So anyway, I think it can only be a good thing overall for Emacs. So I am on board with Magit being merged in. There's so much stuff in Emacs already. I mean, who cares anymore how bloated it actually gets, because you don't really see all the stuff that's hidden under the surface. I mean, do you really know that there's an adventure game built into Emacs, or that there's a Tetris game built into Emacs, or there are quote unquote screensavers built into Emacs? Most people don't come into contact with that stuff, and it doesn't harm their living, you know? If you think about it, the size of Emacs, the distributable, I think, is it not less than an Electron app? So I think we're okay, right? We're not really hurting here when installing Emacs. We're not crumbling under the weight of the black hole of the node modules folder. So it's okay if we want to add some extra unloaded Emacs Lisp into Emacs itself. You agree? I don't know. I'm just talking here. I don't know. I have plenty of opinions. All right. Emacken says, we need an Emacs MUD. Well, I would love to write a MUD, but I don't know if I want to spend some time on that right now. Ed says, layering your changes on top is how Emacs is intended to be used. Well, I would say that Emacs does a better job of that than Windows. You don't see Emacs causing airplanes to be grounded all day. So I don't know, like, what would you prefer to use, Windows or Emacs when it comes to that? I know nobody said that. I'm just, I'm creating drama. I'm hoping that maybe this will get picked up by some major news outlets, and they'll be so curious about this Emacs versus Windows debate that it will really bring some new confused viewers to the channel. Yep. You can tell I've drank too much caffeine today. Yes, that's true, Fade. There's a pretty good story about Emacs being at the heart of the air traffic control system in Germany in the 80s. That is bold. I would say that's quite bold. Redactus says, Emacs doesn't disrupt air travel as an argument I've not heard before. Yes. I think that they should put that on the homepage. So number one, Emacs does not contain AI, at least not yet. I'm not really sure about that. Does that contain AI? And it does not disrupt air travel. What else? It does not contain cryptocurrency miners unless you install the wrong Emacs package. I don't know. All right, so let me get back on track here. Let me pop the stack like 100 levels and get back to the top where we belong. So today what we're going to try to do is see how to use VC mode to do some of the common tasks that you would want to do with something like Magit. I am obviously a Git user. I'm not really using CVS, Subversion, RCS, SECS, or any of the other source control systems that VC mode supports. The main difference between VC mode and Magit is that VC mode is intended to be a version control package that provides support for multiple version control systems. And if you don't know what version control means, version control is effectively the ability to manage a set of files, text files typically, and track changes to them over time. So you usually do that by adding a file to source control, version control, using one of the available tools, and committing it so that you save the current state of those files. And then as you make changes to the files, you will commit those changes. So you have a sort of a history of changes to all the files that enables you to go back in time, revert old changes, go down different paths, etc. This is a concept that's been around for a long time, and there have been many tools created for this purpose. And the older tools are not quite so good as the newer tools like Git or Mercurial. Git is obviously the one that is the most popular these days because the Linux kernel uses it. There's whole websites built around Git, etc., etc. So VC mode, in my opinion, is really like, well, for my use case, I would be using it with Git. Other people might use it for other things, but just for me. Jabba says, wait, he's serious? We're actually doing today's topic? Yes, we're doing it right now. You disbelieve? Well, okay, let's see how far we get. Case says, apparently Mercurial is actually really good. Yeah, I've been hearing that, but I have not contributed to any projects that use Mercurial. I know they use it a lot at Facebook. Yeah, I haven't really used Mercurial that much, but I have also heard it's better, mainly from the perspective that the mental model for Mercurial is more human-friendly than Git is. Now, if you've used Git for many years, you probably feel pretty comfortable with the Git model. But whenever you first start using Git, it doesn't make so much sense. So that's the reason why many people would say, hey, you know, maybe Mercurial is better. But in the time that I've been messing around with stuff on the internet, actually only just last week came in contact with a project that was using Mercurial on a GitLab. So it's not really around so much. Jeff says Mercurial is also used at Google. They just hijack the crap out of it. Yeah, that's usually what the big corps are doing. Facebook put a lot of money into Mercurial, I think, for checking in large files and stuff. At least I think I heard that somewhere. Case, excuse me. Case says Fossil is pretty nice too. I'm getting some +1s on Fossil. Fossil is very cool, but there's another one of those things that, if it's not more widespread, it's very hard to bootstrap a user base. I think SQLite uses it because the creator of SQLite created Fossil. So that's a pretty major project that uses Fossil, but I think they also have a lot of Git mirrors in places. But yeah, Fossil is very interesting. Kay says, you're probably comfortable with Git's mental model. You know, you convinced yourself you can grok Git, but you cannot. I think I have a decent understanding of what's going on. However, if you start looking into the .git folder, you'll probably become confused very quickly. Now, there's levels to mental models. There is the sort of superficial, yeah, of course, you know, I know they have commits, they have branches, etc. Sure, that's like the level 100 view. And then there's the level 200 view, which is, okay, I understand there's refs and heads and stuff like that. And then level number 3 is I can read index files directly and then write them myself if I want to. Gun says, I've seen a lot. RCS, CVS, continuous, clear case, subversion, Serena dimensions, but I really love Git. Git gets the job done. Case says, you've been Stockholm Syndrome by Git. We've all been Stockholm Syndrome by Git. And the collusion of developer tool companies who have doubled down on Git, probably just because Linus Torvalds wrote it to begin with. Sometimes all it takes is a big name to sell everybody on a certain thing. Dave says, I like Git a lot. I'm fine with Git. I got no problem with it. I can slice and dice a Git repo just fine. I got no problems. However, I will admit that explaining Git to people and having them like internalize how to use Git in various ways and then know how to dig them out of a hole, like using reflog, etc., takes some time. It's not something that you just like learn over a weekend. It's a whole process. Ved says, it's so lively that David will get successfully distracted. Just stop it, please. Stop distracting me. Case is now asking us about martial arts in the chat. I'm a peaceful person. I'm not trying to learn any martial arts. Maybe Aikido, because I hear that's more about just, you know, using someone's body weight against them. Lano says, is it easier to explain Git or Emacs to people? That's a great question. Probably Emacs. Emacs is a little bit alien, but I would say that it tries hard enough to seem like a normal program, and then hides some of its complexity behind, you know, the key bindings that people need to know about. And also Emacs does, excuse me, does come with a comprehensive manual. However, I'm not so sure that you will be successful. I haven't actually tried to read the Emacs manual from the beginning in a very long time, so I can't really say whether it's good or not, but okay. Sorry, I keep reading chat. So to try this out, let me think of how I want to approach this. Like, do I want to make a fake repo or do I want to use a real repo and totally destroy it? Let me think about how I want to approach this. I'll go look at my various crazy repos around. Which one can I destroy and not feel too bad about it if I do something wrong? What do I want to break today? because we always end up breaking something. So let's just break something that won't matter too much. How about this GitHub game off thing that I did? All right. Just clone it. Hold on. What am I looking at here? Port your dot files to a new VC system? No, we're not doing that. We're going to use Git. Arn says, the main strength I see in Mercurial, back in the day, I taught it to a group of scientists. After our first presentation, they kept working it without having to ask more than once every 6 months, and it was because they did complex sub-repo stuff. Kay says, you can clone a local Git repo to a new directory. Yes, of course I can, but I actually want to push changes because that's part of the workflow. So I want to, you know, add files, commit files, make changes to files, but also push and pull and try, you know, and see what's going to happen. Where am I at with this? Do I have any uncommitted files? I'm really bad about that. Okay, sure, dear locals. Let's look at VC diff. I think that's the starting point, right? No changes. All right, so let me stop being a weirdo and open up info. Version control. What is the name of the info page for this thing? VC. VC? Where am I? Okay, it's top. VC. I know there's a manual for version control. I saw it on the internet today. Probably it's just in the Emacs manual. Yes. You can shame me later, or you can shame me now. I just won't read it. VC. There we go. VC, VCS concepts, customizing VC, blah, 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 blah. Introduction to VC. Are we loading? I didn't ask you to do that. I pressed capital V. Sorry, capital G instead of lowercase g. My fault. Now I'll look at the chat. Alternate Ved says, Fort Geeks. Oh, wait. No. I suppose I could do that. Let's see. All right. Introduction to version control. Provides a general overview of version control and describes the version control systems that VC supports. VC is the built-in package that we're looking at, so that's why they call it VC mode. We're not going to look at why version control. We're not going to look at version control systems. We're only going to be focused on Git today. VCS concepts. I think it's important to look at this briefly because it explains the terminology that the VC package uses, because it's not the same as what you would expect as a Git user. I found that when I tried VC mode in the past, the words that it uses for things are not what I'm expecting, and it's caused me trouble. So, when a file is under version control, we say that it is registered in the version control system. The system has a repository. So registered is an important concept. That means a file has been added to source control. The copy of a version control file that you can actually edit is called the work file. Okay. Now, some of these terminologies are needed because some version control systems don't let you just edit a file. You actually have to check it out first. It's almost like going to the library and checking out a book. You have to check out a source file before you can change it. Seems pretty archaic, and it is quite archaic, but there was a reason for it in the past because you didn't have distributed version control like you do with Git, where people can have their own forks of things and you merge them back together. I believe that something in here explains that the difference between merging versus something else, some other concept. But anyway, I digress again. After you have done with a set of changes, you may commit or check in the changes. A directory tree of work files is called a working tree. Okay. Each commit creates a new revision in the repository. Each revision is named by a revision ID. To go beyond these basic concepts, you'll need to understand three aspects in which version control systems differ. As explained in the next three sections, they can be lock-based or merge-based, file set-based or change set-based. Ooh, we're drowning in dichotomies here. And centralized or decentralized. Okay. So lock-based or merge-based, I'm guessing that means you're checking out files or you're just merging changes later. File-based or change set-based. Not entirely sure. Maybe it'll explain. I'm sure somebody in the chat knows the difference. And centralized or decentralized. Centralized is like CVS or Subversion, where you're interacting directly with the server every time you want to check out a file or make commits. Git, obviously, your repository is all local. You can make commits locally and then later push things up there. So there is another distinguishing factor for that. Fate says, oh God, file locks. Yes. When I worked at Microsoft, in the early days that I worked there, they were using something called, God, what was it called? Man, I've forgotten already. It was some Microsoft thing. I think it may have been forked off of Perforce or something, but yeah, it had locked files. So yeah, I'm familiar with that. I'm also familiar with CVS and Subversion. I've had to use those over the years, and I'm much happier that I have Git now, because I at least feel like I can play in my own sandbox and I have to worry about asking for permission to edit a file before I actually edit it, which is kind of a weird thing to do. It's my file. Let me edit it, okay? Just leave me alone. Okay, so next. Info, next. There we go, in. Merge base versus lock base. We don't care about that. I don't care about that. Types of log file. Projects that use version control system can have 2 types of log for changes. Now, okay, let me just step back for a second. The reason why I'm reading the manual to you is not because I think you can't read. It's because we should get some concepts first before we start diving into using things. Otherwise, I'm just going to be bumping my head against the wall and blindly trying to find my way through the VC mode maze and not succeeding. So we're going to look at the information a little bit first, and then we're going to get into it. Okay, says bedtime story. Yes, I'm reading you a bedtime story, one that is certain to put you to sleep. It's all about version control systems in Emacs. Let me know if I'm clipping the audio at any point from all my yelling. Kay says, that's why we love watching your streams. Yes, my job is to make sure that those of you who are on the other side of the world from me, who are getting up and trying to go to your jobs and be productive, that I help you fall asleep so that you don't get anything done. Nakatani says, can I read? Yes. Can I read 2 sentences in a row without looking at Discord IRC? No. Yeah, can I read 2 sentences without looking at the chat? No. Jabba says, that's a podcast audiobook idea. David will read an Emacs manual as bedtime stories. That actually would be pretty funny. Yeah. That would be pretty funny. See, like I said, stop giving me new ideas, okay? I got enough to do. No new ideas, please. Okay, we're doing American Idol now in the chat. Source Depot. Thank you, Andre. Andre must have been a Microsoft employee or Microsoft adjacent at some point. Source Depot, that's right. Okay. So the other kind of log is a file change log. Okay, I skipped this. One is the log maintained by the version control system. Each time you commit a change, you fill out a log entry, like you're filling out a TPS report for the work that you've done. For the change, this is called the version control log. Yes, your manager's gonna stamp it and say, yes, you actually did 1 unit of work today. Congratulations. Now you can go home and see your family. Actually, no, you have to do 3 more units of work first. The other kind is log is a file change log. It provides a chronological record of all changes. Yes, that's like the commit log. Okay. Yeah, I know that older systems probably call it a change log. There's probably a lot of antiquated terminology here, right? Alejandro says, Flux harmonic idea, go through the Emacs tutorial as a bedtime story. Ooh. Only if there's, battling characters or something. No. Oh, man, yeah. Gun reminded me of, what's it called? It was Team Foundation VC, but there was some other name for it first. Okay, sorry. Squirrel. Project maintained with version control can use the version control log or can use both kinds of logs. Yeah, whatever. You can write an entry in the change log, then copy it into the log buffer with Control-C, Control-A when committing the change. You typically want to write an entry for each change just once and then put it into both logs. So they make it easy to get like the commit log using Control-C, Control-A to paste it into a change set effectively. That makes sense. Visual Source Shredder. Nice. I like that, Peter. I'm guessing you mean Visual Source Safe. I've seen that one around, never used it, but calling it Visual Source Shredder is quite the vivid title. Okay. Yes, Ed. I'm sorry for those of you who don't know what a TPS report is. I'm referring to the movie Office Space because it's, it's just like real life. I don't think I've ever worked a job that was quite like that, but I could certainly see it being a reality. Control X VA command to copy it to changelog. Okay. So they're telling me key bindings for things that I haven't even gotten to yet. Why can't I press N? All right. VC mode line, don't care. VC editing, how to edit a file under version control. I mean, you just edit it, right? Only for Git. Modern change set based version control systems such as Git, Mercurial, Bazaar. Does anybody use Bazaar anymore? It seems so cool back in 2002, but yeah, I think kind of faded. VC commands handle multi-file VC file sets as a group. Committing a multi-file VC file set generates a single revision containing the changes to all of those files. Okay, so that's the sort of distinction between change set based versus file based. Alejandro says Bazaar was bizarre. CMAX said it morphed into Scrum now. Yes, Scrum is quite a concept. Scrum is basically let's try to follow this idealistic process, but actually not follow it at all, and just make it be another way for people to bore you with meetings every day. All right. Control X VV, perform the next appropriate version control operation on the current VC file set. So the principal VC command is a multi-purpose command. So what they're saying here is that Control X VV is a command that you might use quite often because it's kind of like a do what I mean type command on a given file. Like if it's a file that's unstaged, that's not a part of the repo, it might add it to the repo or register it. If it's a file that is registered but changed, it might add the file to the index or the stage for the current commit. And if it's already staged, it might unstage it. I think I've seen that happen before when I've used VC mode for short bursts. So yeah. Case is saying that I'm right. I'm always right, Case. Come on now. I'm right until I'm wrong, and then I'm right about being wrong. So I'm always right. It says Agile is a cult. I think it's too watered down at this point to be a cult anymore. It definitely was a cult back whenever you had the Agile Manifesto and people were kind of like really drinking the Kool-Aid on that. But as Peter says, Agile is short for waterfall. Yeah, it's like small waterfalls. It's like cute little waterfalls that last 2 weeks. Cute little waterfalls that end up in a puddle because everyone has peed their pants trying to explain why they didn't finish their work. Yes. Okay. Don't go chasing Agile, says Javo. Yeah. Don't do that. Please stick to the Gantt charts. So you can use Control X VV. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. With emerging VCS, let's see what we got here. Control X VV does the following when invoked from a buffer that visits a version control file. I should probably be trying some of these things instead of just reading you the manual and then in the last 10 minutes of the stream trying it. So let's open up a buffer real quick. I'm going to go back into this folder. Let's just try something. I'm going to say Control X VV on this file. File set's up to date. Okay. Hello, crafters. Control X VV. So is this to actually commit the change? Let me create a branch first before I start screwing around. Control C, Control K works the way that we expect. That's good. Redacted said, I would really like to see a stream where we see David Will's org mode workflow for tasks and such. You're going to see a number of videos about that as soon as I stop procrastinating and actually finish them. I've got one in the works that's like half done. How many times have I said that over the last 3 years? Don't answer that question. All right. So branch VC. Obviously, is there actually a create branch command? That would be fantastic. Control X VB. Let's do something that might be a little bit useful. Control X V, Control H. Okay. So we're looking at the key map for Control X V. I just want to kind of see what's in here. Okay, so there's Control X V cap P, which is push. That's going to be useful. Ignore, does that add it to the ignore list? Ignore file under the VC of directory. Okay, that sounds pretty useful. Oh. Where is the... Oh, come on. So, Control X, VH. There we go. What just happened? I swear to God, I didn't close that. Control X, VH. Control H. Thank God. Control X, 1. What did I do? Update. So, Control X, V plus is update. It's alias for pull. Okay. So, Control X, V plus. Should I write some of these down? Maybe in the show notes. Where are we? Important key bindings. This is going to take up too much time probably, but whatever. Control X, V. Okay, so let's do this. Under Control... I can remember how to type. Emap. Okay, so that's that. There's a capital P. Is it push? Yeah, Control X V, cap P, VC push the repo. There is the V, which is what do they call it? Control X V. Wait, hold on. Control H K, Control X V V. That is next action. So VC next action. Do what I mean for VC operations on the current buffer or file at point, I would guess. All right. Gun says, why don't you embark save the buffer? Well, that's a great idea. See, that's the thing about Emacs. There's so many ways to do things that it's difficult sometimes to remember all the possible ways you could do something. So if I go into Control X, V, Control H, embark, act, question mark? No, forgotten. Control X, V, Control H, Control, yep. And what did I do for that? Control, no, yeah, no. Okay, that is it. Save. Never mind. Always disable LSP UI doc enable, breaks searching quick session with Control S. Yeah, I don't use LSP mode, so at least I don't have that problem. Why not use plus VC update, pull the repo is more structural? Oh, you mean that kind of, yeah. True. I actually have started using that more recently, and I like it quite a lot. It's pretty neat, but then it breaks the highlighting a bit in org mode. But when you publish it to an HTML page, it looks pretty good. Embark collect, yeah. Why did not use embark? Yeah, exactly. I kind of get confused a lot of times when I'm trying to figure out the right way to do things with embark. There are certain things I do with embark constantly, but I'm definitely not getting my money's worth, as it were, on the embark experience. And that is my fault because I dance around too much around different things and don't spend a lot of time honing my skills. Yeah, exactly. Control X VV also works in VC dir in case you want to commit as with Magit. Magit. Did I just say that? Pretend I didn't say that. Kay says, I never use Embark even though I have installed. I was like that for a while. All right. Embark could be another one of those things where it provides a nice interface for doing certain tasks that you might want to do, but it's not necessary. It's kind of like an add-on that you can use if you want to, but probably there's a way to do the same thing in Emacs with like a set of different commands. Yeah. Dave tips his fedora and says, Magit. Yes, that's right. Kay says, Embark kind of feels like having a camper in your driveway that you use 2 times a year. Yeah. It is like that. And then every time you have to open it up to use it, the fridge smells really bad and there's like water leaks and a mouse has like, you know, made a home under the mattress. So yeah, whenever I open up Embark, you know, the strangest things just jump out at me. Just kidding. Once again, distractions. Control X, V, Control H. Why am I not getting what I got before? Embark woke up now. Okay, so here's what happened. Because I ran Embark Act, it auto-loaded the package, which kicked off my use package configuration, and now Embark has taken over Control X, V, Control H. Now we're looking at Embark, which actually is quite useful in my opinion, because you can just fuzzy search for things. Can I even do it for like the keys? Yeah, you can do it for the keys too. U? Cool, so there you go. Okay, anyway, once again. So this is useful. I think I can actually Embark export this. So Control D, Cap E, no. Do I need collect for that? It reformatted everything, which I don't really want. Whatever, you know, you have Emacs, you can go hit Control V, Control H, and find out all this stuff for yourself if you want to. So maybe I shouldn't write it all down. Embark collect, yeah. No, never mind. Camper means a vehicle, right? Yes, a camper is like an RV, recreational vehicle. It's one of the things that you either pull behind a truck or it may have its own engine that you can drive. It's basically like a house on wheels. Very common in America for people to have these and use them once a year and kind of regret the money they spent on it. Either that or they bought one that was from 1975 and it's, you know, breaks down on the side of the highway and smells terrible. Talking about smells a lot today. Maybe I'm just happy that I didn't lose my sense of smell with COVID. Jabba says, in German, a camper would be a person. Yeah, that's probably the right way, but in America, I guess even in just English itself, we like to be confusing. John Hamlick says, apparently Costa Coffee blocks YouTube. They can't stop every Nvidia instance. Oh boy. They don't want you using all their bandwidth. The English call them caravans. That's right. I learned that from, what's that movie? Snatch? Okay. We're totally lost, aren't we? So back to the readme.org file. What I wanted to do was create a branch. Let's go. Here we go. Control HV, Control H. No, I didn't mean to do that. Branch. Okay, so BS for switch. Many of my branch switches are BS. And BC for create branch. I'm just going to run the create branch. New branch name. Let's not break this. Start point default master. Yeah. Modify files exists. Proceed. Yes. I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert. So now Control X VV lets me write a summary. Now, I don't know exactly if this is committing. Personally, I would not try to commit a single file by itself, but I'm guessing that's probably what it's going to let me do here. There are cases where I probably would want to commit a single file, but I generally like to have a bit more control over what pieces of that file are getting checked in, so I don't think I would use it like this. Let's try it anyway, though. Add a meaningless message to the README. Can I do anything else, like move the cursor down below? Okay, so under that summary is probably the commit title. Here is more details for the commit message. Do you see them? All right, so Control C, Control C. Okay, it says it checked it in. Now, Control H, V. VC print log. Show in another window the VC change history of the current file. So print log. Okay. So we get the log, which is pretty useful. Some details on it. You can see exactly how well I write commit messages for README files. Update readme.org like 6 times. You know, I like to be very descriptive about the important changes I'm making to the documentation. Who wouldn't? So we'll quit out of there using Q. Now, what about the whole repo? I want to see the actual list of commits for the repo. So Control X, V, H. You can see what I'm typing up there in the thing, the keycast mode. I'm going to stop reading you my key presses. Alejandro says, Prot recommends VC next action, Control X VV. It even initializes the repo. That might be useful if you intend for that to be the thing. All right, so log. So let's see, log outgoing. So log of changes that would be sent with a push operation. That sounds like what I'm looking for. So capital O, log outgoing, no upstream configured for this branch. Okay, that makes sense. VC diff, no changes, so there's no diff. Okay, fine. What if I just say foo here and then do the VC diff again? All right, so we do get a diff here. That's all well and good. Great. I'll quit out of that. How would you do a -- patch add in VC? We're going to show that because Arn sent me a little tip before the stream. Thank you, Arn, for that. And it definitely answers that question, or at least I'm pretty sure it answers that question. Control X VD. Control X VD. Exactly the kind of thing you want to be getting whenever you use source control. Sorry, folks. Okay, so this is sort of like Magit status. This is the information view for the current state of the version control directory. Tells us our working directory, tells us the current branch, any stashes we have, who knows what kind of crap I stashed in there. Also the current top commit on master, handle screen scale more elegantly. Now, okay, that must be the... I'm not in that branch. I'm not sure why it's telling me about master, unless that's the merge target, potentially. Because I did fork that. Sorry, I did branch off of that. If I press enter on that, it does give me the diff for that particular change. I can take a look at the files. Now, I can't use tab to expand the files like I can do in Magit. If I press enter, it just brings me back to the file. I don't think that we're looking at any special view of the file. It's just the file itself. However, obviously, I can just say, what would it be for this file? VC diff. I created the branch, but it didn't change to it. Is that true? Did I commit the master? No, I'm currently on let's not break this, from what I can tell. Let's check the command line just to make sure. Oh, never mind. So git branch, branch V. Yeah, we're on let's not break this. No upstream configured git bites you. Yeah, it doesn't work, does it? All right, so to get the changes for the current file, maybe there's a binding for that somewhere. Change, find the change log, or is it that one command I was supposed to use? What was it called? Find the change log file and add entries from recent versions. There was something that we ran into. I swear it was VC diff. Oh, I'm an idiot. It is VC diff. Okay. Here we are. VC diff, that just shows us the diff for everything. So the diff view is in a different place than the status view, let's say. So in Magit status, you have a fully integrated view. To be perfectly honest with you, if you use Magit and you're making big changes on a pretty large repo with a lot of files, and you've got diffs in a bunch of files, Magit gets slow, very slow. And having the diff be in a separate buffer is kind of better for that reason. It's not like a real big problem, but it has been an issue for me in the past. Judy says there's a separate Magit diff view, also agreed on slowdown and status. Yeah, there's probably ways to deal with that. I'm always too lazy to fix things. If something's broken, I just deal with it, which makes me a bad person to watch because I just deal with crap all the time. I'm okay with it. I can swallow the crap. I probably shouldn't have said that. Not what I meant. But I can deal with the problems, but I actually want to be able to help people to do things in a way that doesn't cause them frustration. So sometimes I have to expend extra effort to figure out the right way to deal with things. So yes. People are relating to my crap swallowing. Oh, I feel better, you know. I don't feel so good after swallowing crap, but at least I feel better to know that other people are suffering along with me. Okay. And Fade is frowning because Fade has a small child and he probably knows something about the actual act of well, we won't talk about that. I also have a small child, so. Redacted says, I show someone my system and I'm like, I swear I'm good at computers. I feel like I have to make that claim on streams constantly because you see me fooling around with Git. Sorry, not Git. Git's fine. I have no problem with Git. Geeks, maybe sometimes Emacs, but you know, we always make it through. You know, somehow we figure it out by the end. No, we don't actually. That's a lie. We never figure it out by the end. But we try. We try. You know, if nothing else, the weekly System Crafter stream is a demonstration of the human spirit. The unbreakable, unshakable human spirit to try to accomplish something that should not be done, and just keep trying and trying until you get a massive headache and you have to go, you know, drink a gallon of alcohol just to go to sleep. I promise I haven't done that. He says, look, we've broken more systems than you've dreamed of. Yeah, I definitely don't dream of systems. Thank you, Jerry, for the $5 super chat. Some good crap, yes. That's probably the first super chat I've seen in months. That's funny. I forgot it existed. Alejandro says, a gallon. Yes, a gallon. I didn't do that. What I meant to say is I drink a gallon of water and then I have to go to the hospital because I've overhydrated. See you, Jebo. Thanks for playing. Thanks for playing the, you know, Distract David for 2 hours game. Okay. We're back. So, in this buffer, I think you should be able to stage certain things. I'm kind of curious to what will happen if I use Control-X VV here. Now, people can tell me the answer in the chat, but just because we're trying this out and they tell us that the VC next action should do the right thing in many cases, let's just see what happens. Control-X VV. Oh, it wants me to commit. Does it want me to commit all the changes? Because I'm not really on board with that. I mean, sometimes, sure. Control-C, Control-K. Let's get out. Gay says, I'm slightly hungover and this chat is not helping. Yeah, I don't think it's going to help with that. I would say just go get an Egg McMuffin or whatever the equivalent is if you don't eat animal products, and maybe you'll be doing a little bit better. Peter's doing a beer run. I imagine that Peter is literally running to get the beer. This is the kind of thing that he would do. Yes. So Jeff says it will commit all the changes. And Alejandro says you can edit the diff before committing it. Can I edit this buffer? No. Control-C, Control-Q. Read-only mode. Control-X, Control-Q. Yeah, it's not going to work though, is it? Let's see. I'm curious. Control-X, VV. What? Why is this buffer still open then? Is it not staged? Kill it. All right. So git log. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah. Wait, what? I'm confused. What just happened? Did it commit the foo or the F? Okay, never mind. K to delete hunks you don't want to commit. Yeah, I think that's what Arn was saying. So Arn gave me a little tip. I'll just pull that up because I'm just wasting all the time in the world right now. Go to notifications. It's right here. It's coming from his website. VC mode enables partial commits for every version tracking system. Let me just drop this link in the show notes to give proper credit where credit is due. Because Arn answered a question that some of us had earlier today in the IRC. Yeah. Come on now. Org mode, sometimes I just want to slap you in the face, dude. Anyway, sorry. Open the directory with VC, get the diff, adjust the diff, and commit from there. So Control-X VD, which brings up the sort of status view. Oh, equal inside the buffer. Nice. Let's go back to here. Control-X VD. Press equal. All right, that brings up the diff. I totally screwed that whole thing up, dude. What did I do to this? K on the hunk header to remove the hunk, one part of the diff, or you can use Control C, Control S to split a hunk. You can then delete parts. Okay, so this is quite a hunk right here. You know, you could say it's kind of like a Fabio level hunk. Control, what was it? Control C, Control S. All right, so it did actually split that. That's pretty sweet. So now we have 2 hunks. So what's that like the, I'm not even gonna say it. Never mind. K, right? If I'm on the header, I could do this. But apparently it works inside. So anywhere inside of the hunk, you can press K to get rid of it. Now, the question is, okay, those changes are still there. We're just removing them from the diff that would be committed if we were to go through with these changes. So let's say I wanted to use K to get rid of this obviously incorrect edit with a Q at the beginning. I have no idea how I did that, but when I start getting frustrated and flailing around with Emacs key bindings, all bets are off. I'll press K. Wait, what? Oh, I didn't split it yet. So let's do that correctly. All right, Control C, Control S. We split this now. Press K here, and now I can press Control. Well, is there another binding? Control X VV. Fix the foo. And now, in theory, that should be done. I don't like the fact that it leaves a diff open because it kind of feels like it didn't work. But there may be a reason why that would be useful. See a case, enjoy your egg. Sorry that I slung a craving on you, but you know, sometimes it might be actually worthwhile. Best commit message ever. Ashraz, thank you. I have no idea. Oh, can I reset that diff after it's done? I can press G or something. All right. So now, do I want to just push that? There was the Control X V cap P to push. All right, so I don't have an upstream. I have this happen automatically for branches. So that's a message that comes right back from git push. So I use Control X VV in the diff. Does it like reset it? All right. So there's not a way to set the upstream with VC mode. And that, I assume there's not a way. And it makes sense because I don't think VC mode could deal with all the little aspects of everything. So Jeff is telling me Control U, Control X VV. Control U, Control X VV. Okay, that's a different thing in this case. I'm not sure what that would do though. So let's look at the actual documentation. Control H, K, Control X VV. What does it tell me about the argument? Verbose. Of course. Non-nil. You can specify another VC backend for the files, the revision ID, or branch ID from which to check out the files. Command line args for git command. Is that right? What if you want to discard the borked line but keep the correct change? That's what I thought I did. So let's actually do that. So Control X BD. No, wrong folder. Come on, can't you just figure it out? So yeah, I did not check in the bad commit. Now, is there a way to like delete? One thing I do very, very frequently is I will revert a bad hunk, let's say, or a bad change. Like instead of not even committing it, I will just kill it itself in Magit to get rid of stuff that I added by accident. I don't know if there's a way to do that here. VC revert. Revert working copies of selected file set. Don't think so. Reset. No. I wonder if there's like a Control XVK. There's a U to revert. What's U do? Revert. Revert working copies of selected file set. Does that work though? Like right here in a hunk? Yeah, in Magit you can use K, which I do. But here, if you use K, it just removes it from the diff, which is not what you want. You actually want it to be removed entirely. I want to revert that file. I can obviously revert this file, but I don't want to revert all the changes in the file. Let me go to the file. I'm going to add another thing here. Foo-bar-baz. Foo-var-baz. That's fine. We're changing the idioms of our field one at a time through complete stupidity. So we're going to do Control X V D equals. Is there a way for project VC? Project VC dir. Control X PV. That's much better. Control X PV. Okay? Because I don't want to be prompted every single time for the directory. Yeah, I don't want to revert the whole file. I want to revert a hunk. Arn says you can reverse a diff and then apply it. Redacted says, what's that key binding completion menu? I don't think I've seen that before. That's Embark. That's one of the features of Embark. It's not on by default. You have to set it. In fact, I'll show you. Dot files, find file, EW core, I think. Embark. Nope. It's probably in interface. Embark. Yeah. So here, set queue prefix help command, embark prefix help command. That is a special command that will give you that listing. See you, Fade. Alejandro says, are you a Foo fighter? You're fighting with that Foo. If I was a Foo fighter, I would be rich. And I'm not rich, so obviously I'm not a Foo fighter. Isn't that, what kind of logical argument is that? Is that a tautology? Yeah, I mean, that particular piece of functionality should probably be pulled out and made something separate because it is pretty useful on its own. I don't think that people should have to install all of Embark just to get that. What time is it? Okay, got about 30 minutes. Keep talking. So, back to the diff. Control X V equal, then use Control C Control R to reverse the diff. That's really interesting. So Control C Control R. Huh. I mean, that actually makes sense. It's kind of weird, and it's not obvious. But if you know to do it, then I can imagine it being useful. So if I were to go here and get rid of this hunk, I'm going to split. Hey. I'm going to split the hunk first. I'm going to get rid of that one. Then I'll use Control C, Control A to apply. So it opened this and it showed me that it got rid of the queue. That's cool. What do I do in this buffer then? Can I press G? Yeah, G refreshed it. No, it did not. What the hell did I just do? Okay, get out of here. That did refresh, right? Control HK, let's just see what G is bound to. Revert buffer, okay. Revert buffer is what I expected it to be. The G is gone. Get out of here. Okay, we're all good. So that did seem to work. Let me go add that to the notes because that actually is a very useful little trick that Arn has shared with us. Thank you very much, Arn, for being here today and for providing really nice explanations for things to do, because I'm kind of dumb. I don't have all the answers, and sometimes other people help me out a lot, and I appreciate it. So reverting hunks in a file. Control X V D equal for diff. You don't have to do that. You can do VC diff. Then Control C, Control R. Now, what was that bound to? If I go back to the diff view, Control C, Control R, diff reverse direction. That's wild, man. I would not have assumed that would be something they would just add. Diff reverse, what was it called? Diff reverse direction. So use K to remove any hunks you want to keep. Use Control C, Control A to apply the reversal of the remaining hunks. All right, so that's pretty cool. Like that's something I would use a lot. I think is definitely not as smooth as Magit, but if your goal, like mine might be over the next few weeks, is to try to use VC mode for everything, you would want to know how to do this. If you are surgical about your commits like I am. Close parentheses, you are not using par edit right now. I'm never using par edit because I like to live in the wild west of misery and despair. See you, Jerry. Glad to have you here. Cubed Echo says, did David stop using evil mode? Yes, and I'm blissful. I'm so happy. It's changed my life in ways that only a really good facial care product or hair care product could do. You know, like you see on those commercials where people seem just blissful after they started using a certain shampoo. I feel like that from switching from evil to vanilla Emacs key bindings. And I'm being like 0% hyperbolic right now, except I'm being 100% hyperbolic. I mean, I'm serious, but I'm just trying to, juice up the intensity a little bit. Okay, so people get triggered by unclosed parentheses. Yes, Lispers have unclosed paren detectors. For me, I don't use an unclosed paren detector. I just let the environment tell me, oh, you're missing a paren, and then I look for it for the next 5 minutes, and then I move on with my day. Because I like the feeling of frustration and then the feeling of elation from fixing the problem. Not really, but that's what I tell myself at night when I'm crying myself to sleep after all the problems I had. So, cool, that's reverting hunks in a file. Live streaming par edit ++. Yes, exactly. So, the benefit that I have while live streaming is that you're all watching everything that I do and you tell me immediately when I'm doing something stupid. So, I appreciate that. Dave says, I went cold turkey when I switched to Emacs from Vim in terms of key bindings. Hands were very confused for a couple weeks, but then it was all good. Yeah, I'm all good now. I got no problem. It was a little bit of a pain, but I had tried on more than one occasion to use Emacs bindings instead of Vim bindings, and I had started getting a little bit comfortable with it, but now I'm good. Gun is describing my life right now. The zen of looking for fingernail clippings on a white tile floor. That's literally the problem that I have on a, well, not a daily basis, but, maybe a weekly basis. Okay. Judy is dropping some science here. Just like other things with ++ at the end. Wonder what she's referring to. It's slower and overall worse than the same thing without the ++. At least at compilation time. I don't know about runtime. Alejandro says, cold turkey. I don't think I've read that phrase since reading Which Book of the Dark Tower series. Weird. I mean, I would imagine you would come in contact with that idiom at some point just on the internet, but... Okay. So we got this, right? The partial commit thing, K on the hunk header, it's splitting a hunk. That was super useful. So... let me do this too. What the hell? I clicked the link probably. All right, so I'm gonna drop this in real quick. Yes, I know I should be using key bindings, but when I'm using the key bindings, it's not adding new headings, it's adding new bullet points. So reverting hunks in a file. That's not what it's called. This one is staging hunks in a file. Follow this nice set of steps by Dr. Arn. I don't know if you want me to call you Dr. Arn, but that's what I'm doing because you are Dr. Arn. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name because I'm going to do it wrong. Minas Mazer says, I think you're not used to pressing control. God mode? Not using God mode. I'm actually using normal control character. Keegan Zoot says, David Will using us as co-pilot? Sort of, yes. So this is why I always wait for Ashraz to show up, because Ashraz is like the human equivalent of MetaX info, and he always has an answer. And if he doesn't have an answer, someone else definitely has an answer. So the reason why I look like I know everything is because everybody's telling me in the chat what to do. I don't really know everything. In fact, I don't really know anything. I come and I sit down in this chair and I turn on the camera and I just pray that somebody knows the answer. Because if they don't, I'm just going to be sitting here scratching my head. Or maybe looking at Stack Overflow, one or the other. Alternate Vet says pain builds character. Yes, that's right. It builds character and also leads to more pain. Chronic pain, as they say. So, all right, let's think critically for a moment. We've got about 25 more minutes, if I can remember how to add. So, staging hunks, reverting hunks, both very important for me. Pushing branches, I have not yet figured out a way. I know that Jeff tried to tell me something on that, how to set the upstream. I can go in the command line and do that. That's fine. I don't really have a problem with that. But it would be nice if I could do that in Emacs. Because it is something that happens. I mean, depending on what kind of projects you work on, if you have like coworkers, let's say, and you're trying to pull branches from their repo, you want to change remotes and stuff. Remote management is one of the most awesome things, in my opinion, about Magit, because they make it really easy to add, remove, edit remotes. If you don't know what a remote is, usually when you clone a repo from somewhere like GitHub or GitLab or Codeberg or whatever, you get an initial remote called origin. You've probably seen origin a lot when dealing with Git. Origin is just a name. It's an arbitrary name that is intended to refer to the URL where the remote repository lives. So a remote is a remote location where you are pulling and pushing changes into the local repo. It is possible to have multiple remotes. So if there are multiple places where this repo lives, like let's say the main project and your own fork of the project on GitHub and maybe another person's fork of the project on GitHub, where you're kind of like, pulling branches, pushing branches around, you can have multiple remotes. And Magit makes it pretty easy to manage those multiple remotes and to pull branches and look at logs from the remotes and all that stuff. So if you're doing more complicated development work with distributed repositories, etc., Magit's definitely going to be much easier. But it would be nice to know that VC mode could do some of these things. But as we found out, it might be a moot point if Magit gets merged into Emacs. So I don't know. Alejandro says, origin could be GitHub, my mom's repo, or who knows what. Yeah, crap code base. That's how I used to name, well, I'm not going to say that. I never did that. I'm just saying things. All right, so Jeff says, Control U before VC commands does things often context command sensitive. Let's try that. So I want to do a push. One of the other nice things about getting rid of evil mode was that I can now use Control U like a normal human being and not have to make a weird key binding because I was using Control U for scroll up with evil mode. So thank God for that. I can use Emacs the way it's intended. The way that, the gods of Emacs intended, whoever that might be, or wherever they might be. Control U, Control X, V, cap, P. Okay, cool. Edit VC command and arguments. Let's push it first. Now, because I'm lame, I'm going to copy and paste, and I'm going to do what Jeff said. Control U, Control X, V, cap, P. I'm going to paste in that stuff. Push, set upstream, origin, whatever. And now it is trying, let's see. No such file or directory. Interesting. So it's not working with my keyring. I'm not sure why. Is it because I haven't done it yet? On this machine, I don't have GPG set up the right way to be my SSH agent. So it has a prompt every time. Alejandro says evil mode is evil. Yeah, well, it's a distraction, I would say. Gunn is once again providing the German pronunciations. Pronounced RNA, Babenhauserheide. Thank you. I will probably not remember. Add SSH add to get your key and your agent. I thought I had it. So let's turn off keycast mode to start with. Because, I don't want you knowing my passphrase for my repositories, because what are you going to do with it? You're just going to go delete all my code. Alejandro says, on Geeks, I've had many problems with the environment, SSH, GPG, and such. I haven't had as many, but the truth is it took me a while before I got it set up right. And then once I had it set up, it was fine, but then you forget how you set these things up. Okay, let's go to, I'm going to open up Eat here. And I'm going to do the same thing. So Control C, Control E to drop it in Emacs mode. Oh, give me a break. Okay, sure, whatever. Git push. What was it? What had I done before just now? VC. Yeah, there we go. I want to steal that. I want to paste it in. So I'm going to just use Shift Insert. There we go. Enter passphrase. Can you see? No, you can't see? Okay. Let's not leak our private information here. So, SSH add, what is it? Cap L? L? No identities. Why not? I have to add the actual path, don't I? Yeah, SSH add, what is it? You can see I don't use SSH anymore for this. The file, okay. Is that it? Just the file? SSH add. Yeah, I do have pin entry set up. I always dare and fail just to pronounce anything that's German. It is the bane of my existence, and Gun loves to tease me on it. Thank you, Gun, for that. I might need pin it. Yeah, I do have it set up, but it's not working right now. I think something about VC mode has something to do with it, because Magit, I never have a problem with it. Yes, SSH add, SSH whatever. So SSH, and it's the private key, I'm guessing, for that. The ID. Yeah. Huh? Okay. Not sure what I just did. So let's get back to trying to push again. We've already pushed. There's nothing to push, but maybe I'll make another little change here, because all we're doing is just editing a README file, because obviously I'm a development manager and not a programmer. So I'm just editing org mode files and markdown files all day. I'm not to insult anyone. I'm just, joking around here. It's just a little bit of office humor, folks. We're not in the office, but if you're a professional programmer, you know what I'm talking about. Minas Mazer says, pin entry something is loopback. Yeah, I do have that set up. All right, so I deleted that line. Control X V D. No, Control X P V. Yeah, equals. Now we see this change here. I'm going to say Control X V V. Summary, remove the nonsense. Okay. G to refresh. Cool. We're all good. And now Control X V cap P. Run and git push. Yeah, it's still the same thing. It's not doing it in a way that would enable me to use pin entry. I have no idea why. Now we're in Magit. If I try to push, it's going to prompt me for my passphrase. So who knows? I would say that's not very important right now. It is important in general, obviously, for someone who wants to use it on a regular basis, and I'll figure it out for myself, but something is not right for that specific issue. All right, what else would be interesting? Now, we could say, sure, let's try to do like Git rebase, but I don't think that VC mode is going to have any concept of rebasing for Git, because that's a complicated operation. You're either going to end up using Magit for that anyway, or you're going to use a command line. And I've done enough rebasing on the command line to say it's not a good experience. Better to use Magit for that. like for reordering commits or squashing a couple commits in a commit log, etc. I mean, Magit is the way to go on that. Or you could just, you know, live in filth and just have all your oops commits be there in the commit history. That's fine. Oh boy. So alternate veds give me a link to a possible article on VC rebasing. So Manuel, VC rebasing. All right, here we go. Rebasing with VC. 2 weeks without Magit have forced me to rethink how I use Git in my projects. That's not an encouraging note, I would say. Let's see, Magit rebase. How the core developers approach this workflow. Bare command line, helm ls git, or custom code. In shell mode, I open up git rebase, and in buffer that opens up, I type s in the commits I want to squash. Okay, so you're basically doing it in the terminal. And that's all fine. It's not terrible. Redacted says no rebase in VC mode is a deal breaker. Yeah, for certain people who kind of need rebase in their workflow, it would certainly be a deal breaker. Now that I'm not really working on many larger collaborative projects, let's say, thank God, I don't have that problem anymore, but I did have to use rebase quite often whenever I was committing in certain repositories. Okay, so this approach requires that I configure to have editors to Emacs client. Well, yeah, sure. I actually have been doing that for a while, to be honest. Like having it set up so that Git will cause Git rebase to open the rebase list, the actions for the rebase in Emacs, and you can edit it there, which is perfectly fine. And you can use Emacs key bindings to edit and everything, but exactly redacted. How am I going to make it look like I got the code right the first time? Yeah, you're not. I'll tell you from experience. I'm sure those of you who are a bit more advanced with this also know there is no perfect commit history. Sure, you can make a perfect commit history, but when you have to start like breaking up your existing commits or like reverting them and try to like restage all the hunks to make a nice little commit history, screw it, man. Don't do it. Live your life. Live your life for God's sake. Don't try to get the perfect commit history. You're going to pull your hair out if you have any hair left after you've done all this. So yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. I stopped doing it. I feel much happier now. I'm more serene. I'm more at peace with myself. I can accept one weird commit that has too many things in it sometimes. Sometimes I can't, though. Dave says, I'm a big fan of Magit's interactive rebase and rebasing in general. It takes some time to learn. Yeah, rebasing for me was a process. At first, I was really bad at it. And then I was forced to learn how to use Git reflog because I totally hosed someone else's repo when I was helping them with a problem using rebase. So yeah, after that, I became a little bit more careful. But then I realized I didn't need to be so careful because if you have reflog, you can kind of like, pull yourself out of the depths of hell in most cases. Hunter says, the perfect commit history is a lie. Yes, it is a lie. It's not only a lie in the sense that it is something not necessarily worth achieving. It literally is a lie because you're lying about the commit history. You're rewriting it, okay? You're rewriting history. So it's a lie. Rebasing is a lie, and you should feel ashamed for sinning against your commit history. You should show all of the bad commits and the bad thought pathways and all the temporary in-progress commits for all the comments you left in the code, or all the print statements that you use for debugging instead of using an actual debugger, because that's what I do. I know. I've been going on rants too many times a day. I can already hear the subscriber count dropping by hundreds. That's okay. I'm good with it. It's fine. I'm having fun. Gun says, an individual commit DAG is like a crafted patchwork quilt. I think some people do actually treat a commit history like that, myself included at times. It's just not worth it, man. It's not worth it. It feels good. I know, like the sort of the quasi OCD tendencies of developers. You kind of want to make it be perfect. The commits have to tell a story, have to go in order. And you want it so that if you ever have to roll back your commits to a certain point, everything still builds and works. You're never going to do that. You're never going to do that. How many times have you gone back and admired your commit history on a project? Never. I've never done it. I've never gone back and looked at those perfectly rebased commits and said, damn, man, that was amazing. What did I do? I am the best programmer in the world. Look at my commit history. Never done it. It's never happened. In fact, I probably forgot as soon as I pushed it what I did. CMAC is bringing reality back, saying being too lax can make a bisect a bit harder, though. I agree completely, but I also don't use bisect that often because I tend to follow the caveman style of solving problems, which is don't do things the scientific way. Just keep hitting it with a hammer until it starts working, or at least until you get enough information that you kind of know what the solution is. And I'm sure that if you've seen enough of my streams, you know that that is a true statement. Could not be more true. Just keep hitting it. This is the only place where violence is acceptable. You know, you can hit problems whenever they're not a living thing or a person who's looking at you or not looking at you. I mean, let's not get too specific on that. Problems should be attacked with ferocity until the solution appears. But that's the only thing that should be attacked. Arn says, I want to make my commit easy to review, separate refactor from feature, and then commit separate fixes. Yes, I'm going overboard a little bit here just to entertain myself. There are plenty of reasons why rebasing and having a nice commit history is the right thing to do. I'm just taking this as an opportunity to rant based on personal experience. What else? So obviously we can't do rebase. That's okay. You know, I'm not gonna take that as a huge knock against VC mode because I think is asking too much for there to be an interface for that. Now, I think it's perfectly reasonable for there to be an extension package for VC mode that does add that functionality because this is Emacs after all. Or just use Magit or the command line. So what else do I do on a regular basis? Remote management, as we saw, is not something that's built in. Makes sense also on that regard. Or at least being able to push to a remote that the upstream hasn't been configured yet. It's not there. So that's a little bit more of a rough spot. What would I do? Let's say I was using this on a regular basis. I create a new branch. I need to push it. I would probably end up having my own custom Emacs list function that could automatically try to push to a remote if it didn't exist already. So I feel like it is something that you would end up writing your own custom code for. And I would bet that many people have done that. I do know that Prot has a package called Agitate. What? Cool. So we're getting a Greek-English dictionary here. Should I try to read some Greek on stream? Pros ευχαρίστηση μου βλέπω την πρόταση για τροπολογίες στα... Okay, that's enough. I cannot read Greek that well, so sue me. Okay, so obviously I need to say protesilaus. There we go. Agitate.el. No more detours. Extras for diff mode, VC git, log edit, log view. Extras for diff mode, refine cycle, buffer file. So there may be some useful stuff in here based on what we've seen so far. Narrow to diff hunk or file. Enable outline minor mode. Ooh. Enable outline minor mode with appropriate tweaks for diffs. Basically gives you folding of diff hunks. This could be pretty nice if you intended to really, like, you know, invest fully, let's say, in VC mode. Edit emoji commit? I'm sorry? I would bet $1,000 that this feature was added for summer Emacs. Who wants to take that bet? No, actually, I don't want to do that. That's too much money. Don't tell Summer I said that. Okay, so insert conventional commit message at point. Okay, anyway, I would definitely recommend that people take a look at this package if you're interested in VC mode. I'm not going to have any time to look at it today, but it might be cool. Alternate Vet says, no, Prot uses emojis now. Wow. How the mighty have fallen. I know there's reasons why people use emojis to indicate certain types of commits and commit messages, but man, what happened? Just kidding. Totally fine to use emojis and commit messages. I'm going to start using $ emojis in all my commits just to make myself feel like I'm actually making some money from every commit that I make, even though that's not true. Judy says, add was too hard to write. It just doesn't look nice in a commit log, you know? If you just say add a million times or update, like update readme.org. Instead of that, I can just have a little icon of a wizard with a note emoji next to it, right? Okay, I'm just editing my, my readme file. Wizard note emoji. Where is it? Wizard emoji. The mage emoji. So we'll put that, the mage emoji, next to the, what is it, the notebook. The spiral notepad. Okay, cool. So there we go. No more words in commit messages from today forward. We're using the hieroglyphic standard of commit messages so that you have to sort of interpret what the meaning of a commit is based on the emojis that are being used. It could be a sequence of emojis from 1 to 10. And the longer the set of emojis are, the more you know that you probably should have broken this commit up into separate commits, right? Anyway. Just trying to make things interesting wherever I can. Redacted said, we don't want to overwhelm new contributors with reading. Yeah, you don't want to make people read. People get really upset about reading. So I think that from here forward, all repository code should be delivered as YouTube videos so that a person can watch the code be written in front of their eyes and they can understand the whole code base, right? Or maybe a series of TikTok videos. Like each function is an individual TikTok video. And if you want to contribute to the project, you have to download the TikTok video, use some kind of OCR software to pull the text out. And then to commit your code, you take the code and you make it into a new TikTok video and you post it to TikTok. And then now you have literally, well, to some degree, distributed source control because you've distributed the code into a million little tiny videos that nobody's ever going to watch. Okay. Have you had enough today? I'm on a roll a little bit here, and I'm probably going to get some complaints. That's okay, though. I love you all. And the videos are just white noise. It would probably be like that. I agree, Judy. Okay. Where are we? What happened? What year is it? Is there a Captain Caveman emoji? That would be very appropriate for any commits that I make because I'm basically just bonking all the code with a club. CMAX says, what is the spicy Greek food you ate? I haven't eaten any today, unfortunately. Usually the spiciness in Greek food comes from garlic, which I'm, you know, fond of. See you, Jeff. Okay. Last thoughts. Any closing thoughts on what we have not really seen today? Where's my complaint emoji? Which one would you use? Is there a I want to talk to the manager emoji? I think they should probably add that to the Unicode standard because it's kind of like a larger concept that everyone can relate to in the year of our Lord 2024, or probably 2019, whenever that meme kind of came out. We certainly need a I want to speak to the manager emoji. I know exactly how it would look too. Just a hairstyle. No person attached, just a hairstyle. Okay, yes, VC mode. Oh my God, thank you, Benoit. I forgot. What are we talking about here? So we ruled out remote management, we ruled out rebase, but we've got some other things that we can actually use. So let's just cap this off by saying, where would you want to use VC mode versus Magit? Number one, I would say, if you're working on a repository by yourself, and it could be a repository with any source code technology, but we're talking about Git here. mainly because you probably don't need rebase. You probably don't need to deal with multiple remotes. You could probably deal with the minor annoyances here of having to push a branch for the first time and have to like use a command line argument to do it. And in general, the UI is okay. It's not that bad. It doesn't look as nice. It's not presented as well as Magit is, but it's fine. I don't really see a problem with it. And there are enough individual commands that you can use to call up the actions that you need at any given point to do something useful. So if you are not really an advanced user of Git, I think VC mode is fine. And it's sort of integrated with project.el. So if you're in a folder that has a Git repository and you use Control-X-PV, it pulls up, well, let me close this first. Control-X-PV, it pulls up this sort of status view that you can use to see what files are unregistered, meaning they're not added to the repo. This is not added to the repo, or files that are either up to date or edited. So it's not bad. It's totally acceptable, I think, for a single person or maybe a not very advanced Git user. You could definitely use that. But for more elaborate Git workflows with Git rebase, multiple remotes, cherry picking commits from other branches, reflog, resetting to various states, things like that, things that honestly I do pretty frequently. You kind of need to use Magit because it is the most complete interface for Git inside of Emacs. I'll probably try to use VC mode a bit to just get a bit better at it, because I do want to make some content about more of the built-in functionality in Emacs, but for me, Magit is really the way to go. You kind of need it if you're doing anything serious with Git repositories in Emacs. Yeah, and I also want to go back to a point that I think I saw Alejandro make earlier about VC mode is doing too much. Purple G says, I just joined and David is advocating violence. Let's be clear. I'm advocating violence against computer problems, not people or any other living creature. So, where was I? I lost it again. So VC mode, just like anything where someone is trying to come up with the perfect abstraction that hides away the details of different strategies for dealing with a specific problem. I'm being very abstract here. In this case, we mean VC mode is an interface that supports many different source control systems. You're always going to be missing the detail because you have to find the commonalities first, and the only way that you can make a unified interface is to focus on the commonalities. So when you've done that, then the quality of the overall solution suffers because you've had to target the lowest common denominator between all of them. And it's not so easy to make advanced functionality for any of the backends fit into the overall model and worldview of the generalized solution. So if you want to work with multiple source control systems, if that's kind of a requirement for you, and you don't also need very advanced functionality from them, VC mode is probably great for you because it does give you the ability to use the same commands to work with different types of source control. But it's not going to give you all the advanced functionality. So you need a specific tool that is like precision engineered for Git interactions. And that's what Magit is. So that's my spiel. That's one of many. How many did we download today? How many spiels did I download for all of you? 23? We need a spiel counter. All right. That was fun. I think that was, we made some progress. We actually learned some things. Alejandro says, abstraction, ORM for DB. Yeah, ORMs suffer from similar problems. Arn says, I wouldn't say the quality suffers. It does very well with what most people do with Git. If you need advanced, use Magit. Yeah, okay. I mean, suffer maybe is a bad word, but I'm speaking more in general about what I've seen with the attempt to abstract things in a very generalized way in other software products. And Arn says, if you need advanced from any other VCS, command line works well. Yeah, but Emacs has just made it so warm and cozy that I really don't want to use a command line unless I really have to. And the way that I use the command line most these days is just using metax compile, or what is it, async shell command? Yeah, async shell command. Like, that's the only way I'm really interacting with the command line. Okay, you see me open up like eat or eshell sometimes, but I don't really use it that much. So yeah, I'm kind of staying away from using things on the command line now because I get like almost the same level of quality using Emacs as an interface for that. Benoit says Magit for Mercurial is called Monkey. Yeah, Judy, I use a combination of async shell command and geek shell to run many programs. So like, well, let's say Chrome. I was running Chrome like this. I use geek shell to install the Google Chrome unstable package and then launch it. I'm doing that all from within async shell command. So yeah, I do that quite a lot. All right, I think that's it. I think that's it for today. I hope that you learned something. I think I learned something. If you have any thoughts or power tips for VC mode, or any gripes or ungripes, is that a thing? Leave a comment on the video. And we'll probably make some videos on VC mode at some point, but I don't know, like probably just one video. Like, what is there to say really? Like, there's just the basic workflow that Aaron has helped us discover for the most part. But aside from that, there's maybe not a whole lot to say, aside from maybe looking at Prot's Agitate package, which we might do on a stream at some point. I don't know. So, yep. That's about it. I'm still working on a new video. Maybe next week will be the week. Maybe I will finally get through with whatever it is that's distracting me and put a video out. That's my mission, okay? I'm making a promise to you right now that I can't promise anything. All right. So thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate your time and attention and your indulgence in my self-indulgence. And I hope to see you next week. And until next time, happy hacking. Have a great weekend.